Dear listeners, thank you for your incredible support in helping our channel grow. We're aiming for 1,000 subscribers, so please support us by subscribing and helping us reach this milestone. Now let's start the story. Flashback, Ben, at the hospital. I heard a crapload of noise as some people walked into the room. I asked in English, "Hello, who's there?" I was shocked when I heard, "We are reporters from Moscow News, St. Petersburg News, and AITA TV Novosti, autonomous non-profit organization, the parent company of RT News. We just finished talking to many of the hostages you saved from the Beslan school massacre, and now we would like to ask you, the hero of Beslan, a few questions. Do you speak Russian well enough, or do you need a translator?" I quickly replied in Russian, "No, I don't need a translator, and I don't know why you are calling me the hero of Beslan. I only did what was needed to be done. But please tell me, how are the hostages?" One of the reporters answered, "Sergeant Blaine, if we may call you that, do not be so humble. You are not even a member of the Russian military, and yet you saved more hostages than any other person at Beslan. The hostages you saved are being treated for their injuries and mental problems, and they all have told us the complete story of your heroics." Then I heard Masha, Tatiana, and some other person, who I did not recognize, come into the room to save me. I hope they know I hated the news reporters. I was happy as hell when I felt Tatiana's bandaged hand on my shoulder again, but that was short-lived when my doctor began to speak. Damn glory hound. Flashback, Masha, at the hospital. When we returned to Ben's room with Jack, we quickly recognized that the news reporters had descended like locusts. Yes, my plan was working perfectly. I leaked information to the news organizations about Ben's involvement in the Beslan incident because I knew it would make such a good story and would hopefully keep Jack and Ben out of trouble with their major and the Marines. We made sure Jack was not seen, as it would detract from the story if he was seen in his inebriated condition. Unfortunately, wherever the news is located, most doctors are right behind because they feel they deserve their 15 minutes of fame. So Mikhail Kyorov finally made an appearance after not having checked on Ben since he was transferred into the ICU. And yes, he did an amazing job with Ben, but his neglect afterward bordered on abuse. Tatiana had informed me that he had been amazing, a steady supply of different and willing nurses with his specialized techniques. Of course, the reporters recognized Mikhail, and the questions immediately flowed. "Dr. Kyorov, who directed you to come here and perform the surgeries on Sergeant Blaine?" He beamed and replied. Vladimir observed the heroics of this young man, was impressed with his selfless sacrifice, and immediately made the decision that he was to be saved at all costs. Another reporter asked, "Can you give us the details of Sergeant Blaine's injuries?" Mikhail responded, "Well, unfortunately, his eyes were damaged by flash burns, and his spinal cord was damaged by a gunshot. At this time, we are not sure he will ever see again or walk again." What happened next was truly amazing. Flashback, Tatiana, at the hospital. Mikhail made a huge mistake when he stated Ben would be blind and never walk again. He had not spent enough time with this incredible man to know you could not tell Ben anything he did not want to hear. Ben fought my hand on his shoulder, sat up in bed, and loudly proclaimed, "Excuse the hell out of me. But it's apparent to me this doctor is talking out of his butt." All the reporters gasped at his insult, but he continued, "While I don't mean any disrespect to my doctor, I was impressed that Ben was astute enough to apologize for his earlier outburst, and I am sure the work he did was excellent. He, however, does not know me. Not only will I see again, I will certainly walk again." This focused the attention of the reporters on Ben where it needed to be, and one of them asked, "Sergeant Blaine, are you in much pain?" He laughed and declared, "Pain is only fear leaving the body." Another asked, "How do you know you will see and walk again?" He simply stated, "Because I know my body and I know myself. I will not rest or relax until I can both see and walk again. Plus, I have this nurse here, Tatiana, that is going to help me fully recuperate." I was embarrassed by the attention and crimsoned. One of the reporters asked, "Tatiana, are you Sergeant Blaine's girlfriend?" I didn't know what to say, but Ben saved me when he said, "I'll answer that. She was my flight nurse. She injured her hands removing shards of the ceramic body armor from my back, and has been with me almost constantly since that time. If that's not love, then I don't know what love is." His answer made me crimson even more. One of the reporters asked the dreaded question I hoped wouldn't be asked. Flashback, Glenn, undisclosed base. I was pissed as hell. I shipped the major to Russia to sweep this damn incident under the rug, and then kicked both of the SGTS the hell out of the Marines. And what the major didn't know was after he came back from his hatchet job, he was going to be on the receiving end of a hatchet job too. I'd had my fill of his bullshit. But now, there was Sergeant Blaine on television from his hospital bed, and from what I could tell, he was being called the hero of Beslan. Yeah, this was a cluster shit of huge proportions. I called the damn major, and this time he answered. Flashback, Major M, Moscow. I was finally released from the damn prison and I couldn't believe what I saw on TV in a shop window. It was damn Sergeant Blaine giving an interview from his hospital bed. However, I couldn't hear what he was saying. Then I was interrupted by my phone. I answered and the damn old man chewed my butt. Major, what the hell is going on over there? You were supposed to keep this bullshit from happening. I gave my excuse. Sir, I was just released from prison and haven't had time to arrange a flight to meet with SGTS. He yelled, well, get your butt moving and put a lid on this bullshit. Otherwise, it's your butt too. He hung up the phone and I was worried that he might reassign me to Thule. Or worse. I continued to watch the interview and came up with a hell of an idea. I pulled out my phone, called Sergeant Reynolds, but still didn't get a damn answer. So I called the embassy and told them I needed a flight to where the SGTS were, and I needed it yesterday. They told me to head to the airport, and they would have an attaché meet me with the tickets and to function as my translator. It's about time something went right. Flashback. Jens. I watched my Ben being interviewed on Russian TV, and my heart was both happy and sad. Happy because he looked better, but sad because it was plain to me he was injured very badly. Then this stinky old Russian nurse put her hand on my Ben's shoulder, and I was very upset. I could tell that she loved my Ben and realized the major was the least of my worries right now. The TV subtitled her name, so I wrote it down and began to gather information on my new nemesis. Flashback. Ira and Mira. In Israel. Safia exfiltrated the shower after sufficient time and Marinka and I quickly acquired her and stated, you must wear these garments. Safia oculated the garments, crimsoned and dissented, I will not wear such clothes. I will appear as a hooker if I did. Mira explained, Safia, to find your sister we must make contact with the slave traders who abducted her. To do that you and I will function as bait and Irinka will take us to the slave market and sell us. Safia loudly complained, I will not be sold like my sister. I continued, Safia, the sale will not be consummated. We will advertise you as the younger sibling of your missing sister, and the slave traders who have abducted her will have extreme desire to also possess you. Mira continued, I will be with you at all times to assure your safety. Safia did not look happy, but she began to dress as Marinka also changed her garments. I bedecked myself in suitable apparel. Marinka's plan was diabolic, but was also fraught with uncertainty and danger. Present. Jens, standing watch. When Alexei blows the grizzly bear to hell with a 40mm grenade, we're a bit too close, and now one of the twins says, my family, I am in some distress. I worry it might be Mira and the baby, so I run over and ask, are you Mira? And if so, then what's wrong? She looks at me and confirms, yes, I am Mira Ms. Donaldson, and I am experiencing some pains in my reproductive areas. Present. Alexei, Ira, and Mira, standing watch. Perhaps my use of the grenade at such short range was ill-advised. It appears as if my sister Mira is having problems with her potential Ben progeny. I apologize, Mira, I am sorry if I injured you. Mira smiles and comforts me. Do not worry, my brother. You will learn in time. Then, I am pushed out of the way as Ms. Donaldson begins to render assistance. Present. Jack, standing watch. I can tell that Alexei is feeling badly about injuring Mira, and I know she's in excellent hands with Jennifer and Ira, so I look at him and suggest, let's take a look at this damn bear. I'm still amazed a grizzly bear was in the Rocky Mountains. Oh, I know they have some in Rocky Mountain National Park, but we're too damn far from there for a bear to make it to Jennifer's property. The lights are still on, and I can plainly see some sort of collar on the damn bear. I point to it and ask, what the hell is that? Alexei bends close and states, it appears to be some sort of radio control collar, similar to those which control Canis lupus familiaris. I sure as hell don't like the sound of that, so I bend down, touch it, and son of a bitch. Present. Alexei, standing watch. Captain Reynolds performs an ill-advised action. He touches the radio collar attached to the Ursus arctos horribilis, then lets out a low moan, begins to shudder, and I can almost see his eyes light up. I acquire a stick from the ground and use it to forcefully disconnect Captain Reynolds' hand from the collar. He falls to the ground, continues to quiver, and my sister Ira questions, what has occurred with Captain Reynolds? I state, he applied his upper digital extremity to the radio collar on the Ursus arctos horribilis, and now he appears to have suffered from some sort of electrical discharge. I kneel beside him, attempt to acquire a pulse, and declare, it would appear Captain Reynolds has suffered a life-threatening cardiac event. Ms. Donaldson commands. Present. Jens, assisting Mira. Damn it. Mira is in big trouble, and now Jack is down. I order, Ira, please take care of Jack while I work on your sister. Amazingly, she doesn't argue with me, but moves to Jack and requests, Alexei, please depart and retrieve the level 3 trauma kits. Alexei questions, both of them? Ira confirms, yes, both of them, and haste of post is required. Mira explains, Ms. Donaldson, there will be components in the trauma kits which will prevent the contractions I am experiencing. I immediately wonder why the hell didn't we fetch them right away. Present, Liz and Bernie, standing watch. Between Ivan screaming bloody murder and the damn alarm, there's enough noise to wake the dead. We hurry to Jack and Masha's room, but Jack's nowhere to be found. Ivan holds out his hands toward me. I scoop him up, he stops crying, and we head outside. At the doorway, we almost collide with Alexei. I demand, what the hell is going on? He runs past and states, my sister Mira is having her baby, and Captain Jack is practically dead. I yell after him, what the hell did you say? Bernie translates, I think he said Mira is having her baby and Jack is dying. I shake my head and declare, we need to get our butts outside and see if we can help. We run outside, and I yell, Jens, where the hell are you? I hear in response, we're around back, and all hell is breaking loose. We run around back and find the whole area is covered in blood, and I sniff what appears to be bear shit. I see Jens working on Mira, and Ira is doing CPR on Jack. Bernie offers help, and he takes over compressions while Ira does rescue breaths. Just when I think things can't get any worse, I hear a helicopter arriving. Ivan points and yells, Copter, bring Mama back. Jens orders, Liz, you're going to need to cover whoever the hell it is in the chopper by yourself. The rest of us have our hands full. I look around, pick up one of the rifles off the ground and hurry around to the front of the house. Present, Masha, arrival at the cabin. As we begin our descent to a landing, I see the cabin is alight as if it was day, and then Ms. Morgan walks from behind the cabin, holding my son in one arm and a rifle in the other. I look at Todd and question, why is Ms. Morgan the only one to greet us? Then I see Alexei exit the house post-haste and see he has 2 level 3 trauma kits. Suddenly I feel ill and state, Alexei has 2 level 3 trauma kits. Several people must be seriously injured. The helicopter is close enough to the ground, so I open the door and leap. I impact the ground, roll, and then erect myself. Vanya sees me and yells, Mama, Mama, Mama. I run toward Ms. Morgan and question, who has been injured? She states, Mira is losing the baby, and they are doing CPR on Jack. My fears have been confirmed. I take Vanya and race toward the aft of the cabin. I round the corner, and I cannot believe my eyes. Present, Todd, arrival at the cabin. I was impressed by Masha Reynolds' actions. She leapt from the helicopter when it was a full 15 feet in the air, which spooked the hell out of the pilot, landed perfectly, rolled, and then ran toward Liz Morgan. After a brief exchange, while she acquired her son, she ran behind the cabin. The pilot questioned as I left the helicopter, it sounds like you all might need some medical transport. Would you like me to stay? I nod in affirmation, step out of the helicopter, and my sixth sense goes to full alert. I knock an arrow in my bow and slowly proceed. Something is not right here. Present, Ben, Austin, Texas. It's the middle of the night, and what the hell is going on? Present, Stacy, at the vet's. I finally get to sleep after being able to ignore all the damn snoring when someone yells, damn, what the hell stinks over here? It's the damn horse shooting scumsucker. Samantha answers him, sorry honey, I think it's my hands because I petted Ben's pet bear. He continues to complain, I would say it's more than just your hands. Samantha answers, oh gross. My clothes also smell like him. Frank replies, not just your clothes. You need to go clean yourself up because you smell like a damn camel or llama. Samantha begins to cry, runs out of the barn and yells, Frank, that's the meanest thing you have ever said to me. As if on cue, Wojciech comes out of his stall and the horse shooting scumsucker orders, Stacy, give me my damn pistol so I can use it to shoot this bear like I used it to shoot the damn horse. I sit upright and yell, what the hell? This is the pistol that shot Bo? He replies, what? No, you don't understand. I jump up and scream at him, like hell I don't. You're never getting this damn pistol back. I look at Wojciech and order, come on you damn smelly bear. We're not staying around this horse shooting scumsucker. We both storm out of the barn, leaving the door open. Present, Tom and Byron rescue Inga. I can't believe it. Inga is going after the cartel by herself after we almost died during our attempted assault with the team. I'm not sure what the hell she thinks she can do by herself. We begin to gear up and I ask, hey Byron, did she leave any directions for using the communication gear? He answers, yeah, it's all right here. I order, okay, send a message to the twins and let them know what's going on and that we're going after her. He does as ordered. We're finally ready and I lament, well, let's hope we don't die. Then, we head back toward the damn cartel area of the city. Present, Maria, Linus, Matt, and Jim, just after leaving the restaurant. I hear from the front seat, Maria, we hate to bother you, but what would you like us to do? We can't just drive around forever. I come up for air and reply, I don't know. This is Linus' team to command. Linus says, I think we need to find an LEO and see if they have any news on Ben. I'm sure not going to ask the truckers again. Jim asks, do you think we should head back toward where they wrecked the van? Linus answers, that's probably the best place to find a LEO. Jim spins the car, punches it, and we're off again. Linus pulls away and apologizes. Maria, while I would really love for you to stay. I interrupt, yeah, I know. I need to get back and help my princess boss. I will wait until morning then call her for another car. Linus comments, that's my woman. Now that phrase makes me happy as hell. Flashback, Tatiana, hospital interview. Ben had just said I was his girlfriend. This suddenly precipitated 3 items. I crimsoned like crazy. I felt all tingly inside, and I was terribly confused. My confused state only lasted until the next reporter asked, Sergeant Blaine, because you were there, could you tell us who or what started the conflict with the terrors? This was the one question which I hoped would not be asked, but I knew it would be asked. I applied pressure on Ben's shoulder and said a silent prayer that he would remember my earlier admonition. Ben replied, I am not sure exactly what caused the terrors to escalate the conflict and attack the hostages. But knowing the Chechen terrors, we can surmise that this was included in their original plan. I could breathe again until the same reporter continued. Some have speculated that you gaining access to the school initiated the escalation. Ben derisively snorted. That's the biggest bullshit I have ever heard. I'm Marine Recon, and they didn't even know I was in the school. I also needed to speak to defend Ben, so I added, Sergeant Blaine is correct, the Chechens had no idea we were inside the school. Unfortunately, that made them question, Tatiana, how is it that you know this fact? I wasn't sure what to say, and then. Flashback, Masha, hospital interview. Tatiana made an unfortunate error when she came to Ben's defense, and I needed to rectify the situation. I leaned over to Dr. Kiorov and ordered, you need to tell the reporters that Ben is tired and needs to rest. He smirked, but then I added, if you do not, I will kick you, but on national television. Amazingly, he then declared, I am sorry, but Sergeant Blaine needs his rest. This interview will have to be continued at a later date. However, I am currently available to respond to your questions. Dr. Kiorov and the reporters left the room. When I was sure they were gone, I looked at Tatiana and advised, it was not wise to expose that you were also in the school. She prepared to reply when Ben interceded, Masha, get off her, but she saved my life, and I'm sure she saved some hostages too. By tomorrow, the reporters will have forgotten all about her statement. Even if they don't forget, because you're women, I'm sure the two of you can concoct some sort of plausible excuse. Tatiana smiled at me and shrugged her shoulders while I realized if Ben had feelings for Tatiana, this could further complicate things. I decided to make a strategic retreat and stated, I'm going to check on Jack. Ben questioned, what the hell is wrong with him? Tatiana answered, Ben, you were correct. Jack found 2 doctors, and they all 3 were drunk as skunks. Ben laughed, I told you he would find something to get drunk as a skunk with. You know he only did it because he blames himself for what happened to me, but it sure as hell wasn't his fault. I was shocked. Ben had stated the problem succinctly. My Jack blamed himself, and I needed to make sure he knew his partner Ben did not hold him responsible. I left to minister to Jack's needs. Flashback, Ben, after the interviews. There was no way in hell I was going to let Tatiana catch a load of shit from Masha for defending me. Hell, she was the one who dragged me from the school and saved my life. Besides, she was a beautiful as hell woman and was my biggest comfort right now. Once Masha left, she questioned, Ben, am I your girlfriend? I had been thinking about it and replied, a man would be crazy to not want one of the most beautiful women in the world as his girlfriend. So what are we going to do now? She stated, I think we both need some rest. Then I was surprised as hell when she crawled onto the bed with me, pressed herself against me, and gave me an ever so sweet kiss. Yeah, if a guy had to have a girlfriend, he could do a hell of a lot worse than Tatiana. Flashback, Jens. I was furious at my Ben. I watched the interview with him where they called him the hero of Beslan, and it made me feel so good about him. But then I guess they asked about the beautiful nurse standing next to him, and it didn't take a rocket scientist to see that the little female dog was in love with my Ben. She even had her hand on his shoulder the whole time. I was so jealous. Not only did I need to take care of Ben's nasty major, now I had to take care of his skanky, Russian, wannabe girlfriend's rear too. I searched the internet to find out more about this Tatiana dog and formulate the proper defense. Flashback, Glenn, undisclosed base. I had a full-blown headache, and I don't mean my wife this time. I had the translated transcripts of Sergeant Blaine's interview delivered, and when I read them, I knew we were totally screwed. The Russian media had made him a hero, and somehow the damn American media also got wind of the story, and they were making a big deal about it. I knew it was only a matter of time until I was going to get calls from the SecNav, Secretary of the Navy, and had to explain how things became so screwed up. Sure enough, my aide buzzed me and announced, Sir, you have a conference call from the SecNav and the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. I took a deep breath, answered the phone and started. Sirs, I can explain. The SecNav interrupted. Glenn, we'd love to hear how you pulled of the media coup of the century. Damn, one of your Marines is going to be the only American ever to receive the Hero of the Russian Federation award. I was shocked since I hadn't heard anything about this. I recovered and replied, well, sir, I'm so glad that you approve of this action. I was concerned you would feel this was an international incident. The SecNav laughed. Hell yes, it's an international incident. But this is going to make America and Americans look so damn good in the eyes of Russia. Now how in the hell did you make this happen? I thought and said, well, sir, it really was a stroke of luck. Sergeant Blaine just happened to be in the right place at the perfect time. The SecNav laughed again. Glenn, stop being so damn humble. We know you had your best team over there for some reason exactly like this. Now we do expect a full report, and next time let us know ahead of time about these great ideas of yours so we can better capitalize on them. I was shocked when I hung up the phone, but quickly realized I needed to contact that damn major before he majorly screwed things up. I buzzed my aide and ordered, get that Major M on the horn, ASAP. Flashback, Major M, trip to the SGTS. I finally arrived at the airport. The traffic in Moscow was unbelievably bad, and met the attaché from the embassy, and, hot damn, she was one sexy as hell woman. Brick shithouses had nothing on her. She smiled, handed me our plane tickets, and informed me, Major, we need to wait for several hours. Perhaps a drink would help you overcome the ordeal you experienced from the mistake made by our FSB? Hell, I would damn near go anywhere with this eye candy, so I replied, first you have me at a disadvantage. I don't know your name, and a drink would be a great way to unwind and get to know you better. She gave me an incredible smile, held out her hand, and said, Major Mike, my name is Victoria, but my friends call me Vika. I politely questioned, am I one of your friends, and can I call you Vika? She took my hand. We headed inside toward a bar, and she answered, sometimes you Americans say the funniest thing. Of course we are friends. Things took a serious turn toward the good as we found a table, and she ordered a bottle of vodka with 2 glasses. Yeah, a whole damn bottle. We had just settled in when my damn phone rang. I looked at it and immediately recognized it was the old man. Shit, he had terrible timing. I reluctantly answered and was shocked when he announced, Major, we have a change in plans. It looks like Sergeant Blaine is going to receive the Hero of the Russian Federation medal, so, instead of kicking his butt out of the Marines, you need make this the best damn photo op you can. Pull every damn string you can find to get all the press you can for this. And while you're at it, I need a full damn report of how you pulled this damn rabbit out of your hat. God damn good work. You have exceeded my expectations. After the general hung up the phone, I looked at Vika and questioned, what can you tell me about the Hero of the Russian Federation award? She poured each of us a shot of vodka and explained, first we must toast our new friendship, then I will tell you all about the highest award in Russia. Flashback, Mira, in Israel. With accoutrements completed, I studied our visages in the mirror and questioned if Safia was certain these clothes would make us appear to be women of very ill repute. Ira must have cognate the same as she ordered, apply these burqas over the top of your costumes. We complied and Ira led us out onto the streets using a leather restraint device for Seleucus. I was not pleased with this, but it was necessary for the success of our ruse. We traversed fro and through the streets and arrived at the designated point of sale. Safia shrank from the pressing crowd that jeered and touched us. It took all my restraint to not break the mini-beast hands that assaulted us. We were placed on a platform. Ira went into the pitch of sales, then forcibly removed our burqas, and the throng became chaotic. I held Safia's hand to render support, but she appeared as if illness would overtake her. The bidding commenced at an extreme rate. I leaned over and questioned, Safia, do you recognize the men that abducted your sister? She could not answer because she was tragically terrified. Present, Masha, taking care of Jack. I retrieved my Vanya from Liz Morgan and raced toward the reverse of the cabin. I round the corner, and I cannot believe my eyes. Jennifer is working on Miranda while Irina and Bernie are performing CPR on my Jack. I quickly assessed the situation, and my first responsibility must be to my Jack. I order, Bernie, please take Ivan while I replace you. Alexei, please enter our domicile and acquire the automated external defibrillator device. Irina, continue doing rescue breaths. I perform an intensive pre-cordial thump on my husband's chest, check his pulse, which is still absent, then begin the compressions and question what precipitated Jack's cardiac event. Irina informs me he unwisely touched the control collar on the Ursus Arctos horribilis, and it delivered a tremendous electrical shock to his system. I realized that the AED might not be sufficiently powerful because of the nature of the electrical shock trigger which caused the problem. I decide to pursue an alternate treatment and order, Irina, Take over compressions while I prepare an injection. I prepare the injection, clean the area over his heart, push the needle into his heart, inject the adrenaline, and pray. Present. Jens, working on Mira. I'm working my butt off on Mira, and things don't look too good. She definitely has some bleeding from her, well, her female area. Alexei brings the level 3 trauma bag, and Mira calmly instructs me. Ms. Donaldson, please prepare an injection of terbutaline and administer it intravenously to my corporeal self. Once you have completed that, you must monitor my blood pressure and pulse rate. Then she questions, Masha, do you possess a fetal heart rate monitor? Masha answers, I am sorry, Miranda, I do not have that piece of equipment. Mira continues, then Ms. Donaldson, you must also use a stethoscope to monitor the heart rate of my fetus. I begin to monitor Myra's and her baby's heart rate and Myra's blood pressure when Todd walks up and signs. Present, Todd, at the scene. I walk up and immediately see and smell the remnants of the grizzly bear. I observe the control collar, and that raises my suspicions. I sign to Jennifer, the helicopter is waiting if you need a medical evacuation. Jennifer yells, Masha, how is Jack doing? Do you need to take him to the hospital? She states, his heart is beating and he is breathing on his own. After my experience with American hospitals, I would prefer to avoid them. Besides, Jack is finally regaining consciousness. Then Jennifer says, Todd, I think we need to get Mira to a hospital ASAP. Mira smiles and calmly agrees. Yes, that would be most advisable. Bernie and I carefully pick up Mira and carry her toward the waiting helicopter. Jennifer follows and says, I will travel to the hospital with her. We load Mira into the helicopter. Jennifer jumps in along with Alexei and the level 3 trauma bag, and Jennifer asks, Todd, what are you going to do? I smile grimly at her and sign, I'm going hunting. Present, Jack, at the scene. I wake up with one hell of a headache. My chest hurts like someone had been pounding the hell out of it. See my lovely wife over me and immediately demand, Masha, what happened? She smiles at me and scolds, Jack, once again you behaved unwisely and touched something which you should not have. If I didn't feel so terrible, I would have laughed my butt off. She always bugged the hell out of me for this problem. Hell, it's just my natural male curiosity. Then I remember the damn collar on the grizzly bear. I begin to sit up, but Masha holds me down and warns, my Jack, I just brought you back from the dead, so please do not sit up too soon. I speculate, Masha, something strange is going on here. First, there shouldn't have been any grizzly bears in this area, and second, the damn bear had some sort of control collar. I can't help but feel we're still in danger. She says, Jack, Todd is here, and he will take care of any danger, whether real or imagined. Imagine my butt. Something is going on. I question, where the hell is Jens? Masha states, she and Alexei escorted Mira to the hospital. I ask, so what are our defensive resources? Ira walks up and replies, myself and Todd. Masha reminds them, and of course me. I order, well, I hate like hell to do this, but let's get everyone inside the cabin and lock it the hell down. Masha and Ira help me up, and, with their help, I slowly walk toward the cabin. Damn, what the hell happened to my chest? I order, everyone into the cabin now? We enter the cabin. I use the control panel to lock it down and state, listen, I'm not sure what the hell is going on, but this high-tech alarm system shouldn't have let that damn grizzly bear get anywhere near the cabin. I can only assume that it's been compromised, and we can't really trust it. Ira questions, Captain Jack, with the uncertainty of the situation, might it be better to abide in the subterranean passages? Masha quickly questions, when did my Jack become a captain, and what is this matter of subterranean passages? Ira explains, we have appointed your husband the de facto captain of our group, and there is an extensive subterranean complex below our feet. Masha laughs, oui mon capitaine, we should depart to these subterranean passages. All of us head to the basement. I slide back the bookcase, open the door, and we all enter into the tunnels. Liz remarks, present, Liz, in the tunnels. I'm shocked. I knew Jens did something under the cabin when she had it rebuilt, but I sure as hell didn't think it was this extensive. I demand, does anyone know what's down here? Mabel says, just point me to my kitchen down here, and I will whip something up for us to eat. Ira volunteers, Chef Mabel, I know the location of the cooking domicile and sustenance supply domicile. Please accompany me. Jack declares, I'm opening the damn gun room and getting some better weapons. These damn mouse rifles aren't worth shit against grizzly bears. Mabel immediately shakes her spoon at Jack and warns, we still have rules around here. You watch your language if you want anything to eat. With a chuckle, Ira responds to Jack's question, Captain Jack, if that is the room with the security vault door, I would love to accompany you. Would it be possible to delay your entrance until I assist Chef Mabel? Jack gripes, I might do that, but only if you stop calling me Captain. Ira quickly agrees. Masha begins to laugh. Jack looks at me and asks, do you know what she just said? I answered with a giggle, I think you've been promoted to a general. Masha adds, I believe you forgot to translate the last word. I counter, you can't forget if you delete it on purpose. Jack storms off, I'm getting damn tired of this. If I was a general, I would send a lot of you to Thule. Masha looks at Ira, laughs and confirms, yes, you were correct about the name. General Payne fits him much better. Masha walks toward General Payne, I mean Jack, while Ira takes Mabel, and I can only guess she's headed to the cooking domicile. Great. Now they have me talking and thinking like them. I look at Bernie, wink and question, do you think they have sleeping domiciles down here? His eyes gleam as he answers, oh yeah, I bet they do. Let's see if we can find one. I pout, only one. I was hoping for 2 or 3. Present, Ben, Austin, Texas. It's the middle of the night, and what the hell is going on? I wake up and feel that. What the hell? Someone has their mouth around my. I begin to pull away. There's an audible pop, and I hear a giggle. Pavarast, it seems like you might be my type after all. Hell, I was sleeping too soundly, and Margarita was able to. Well, you all understand what she was doing. I complain, Margarita, it's not fair to do that to a man when he's sleeping. She chides me. Which of your countrymen said, all is fair in love and war? Pavarast, you are a terrible liar, and when you told me you were a homosexual, I knew it was not true. Now would you like to tell me the truth? God, how the hell can I explain this to her? I barely understand it myself. I begin to muddle through an explanation. Margarita, I will try my best. You see, there's this woman that I love with all my heart, but I cannot be with her. Margarita questions, Pavel, why is that? I look down and say, well, it's embarrassing. You see, she's always wanted children, and well. Margarita says, yes, continue. I continue. Well, I can't give her children. I was injured when I was taken prisoner. There, now you know it, so leave me alone and let me get back to sleep. I roll over on the couch, and as I hear her walk away, she adds, Pavarast, you would be much more comfortable sharing my bed. And as you know, I don't bite too frequently or too hard. Margarita's gone, and I remember how that scumsucker Hussein took the one thing I really wanted in life away from me, to live the rest of my life with Yets. Death is simply too good for that scumsucker. Present, Stacy, at the vet's. Wojciech and I storm out of the damn barn. I was lied to by Samantha about this pistol she gave me, since it really is the one used by her horse-shooting husband to shoot Bo. It makes me a little ill to hold it. Oh, I'm not a dumb enough blonde to blame this pistol for shooting Bo. Certainly not like those gun-grabbing liberals who blame the guns and not the idiots pulling the triggers. Frank, Samantha's horse-shooting husband, is the one to blame, but this pistol to me represents Bo being injured. There is enough light available that I can see something very useful and decide to give the horse-shooting scumsucker back a gun that will remind him that it's not nice to piss off Stacy Summers. I put the pistol on the anvil, raise the hammer, and begin to beat the shit out of it. Yeah, this is feeling really good until... What the hell? Present, Tom and Byron rescue Inga. We're geared up to go and see if we can catch Inga before she gets herself killed. I look at Byron and argue. Damn, I wish there was an easier way to do this. We're going to get our butts handed to us if we go in there looking like this. Byron suggests, well, perhaps we should look a bit different? I question, you have a plan? Byron laughs, I always have a plan. I complain, the problem is that most of them are harebrained. He laughs and declares, well, not this time. I listen to his plan, and damn, for once he might have come up with a good one. Present, Maria, Linus, Matt, and Jim, at a restaurant. We arrive back at the crash site. I touch Linus's arm and ask, how about if you and I talk with the state patrol? Linus questions, Maria, do you have a plan? I smile at him and state, yes, honey, I sure do. We get out of the car, walk up to the troopers, and I begin. Flashback. Jack, where the hell? I woke up with a pounding damn headache, quickly ran to the bathroom, and puked my guts out. For a moment, I wondered if Masha had given me some of that damn sickness shit of hers again. I didn't immediately recognize the room where I was, or even how I got there. Then, as the fog slowly lifted, I remembered my doctor friends and the butt-kicking hooch they made. I rinsed my mouth and decided I needed a little hair of the dog that bit me to make things better. So I headed out of the room to see if I could find those 2 doctors again. Flashback. Masha, ministering to Jack. As I walked toward the room where we sequestered Jack, I pondered the situation with Tatiana and Ben because it resembled my situation with Jack. I realized that Tatiana had already decided, as I had also determined, coercion of sensitive information from our boyfriends was not in our best interests. I was Tatiana's superior, and I could shield her, but unfortunately, I had no one above me who I could rely upon to shield me. I began to formulate a possible plan until I walked into the room and discovered my Jack was missing again. I berated myself for not handcuffing him to the bed, but I wrongly assumed that in his inebriated state, it would be hours until he was again functional. I pondered where in Hades he might have gone. Then I remembered Ben's statement that Jack would be looking for coffee or alcohol. In this case, I decided coffee was probably the likely, and also the worst for possibly initiating another illness, choice. Therefore, I departed for the cafeteria and hoped he didn't actually drink the coffee, otherwise his sickness could be real. Flashback, Ben, in the hospital. Tatiana must have been exhausted. Her slow, steady breaths made it clear she had fallen asleep almost instantly. She was resting on my left arm, but my right arm was free, so I absent-mindedly let it drift down her back. Her muscles were firm and strong, not in an overdone way, but in a way that showed her strength. I hesitated for a moment, wondering if I should push my luck. Then I figured, why not? Flashback, Tatiana, in the hospital. I woke up with a jolt. Someone was touching me. Startled, I turned and saw it was Ben. I groggily muttered, "Ben, you've got restless hands." He chuckled and offered a half-hearted apology. "Sorry for waking you, Tatiana. I was bored and just." I replied, "That is an insufficient excuse. If you wanted to feel my body, you should have asked my permission." He asked, "Tatiana, may I feel your body?" I scolded, "Ben, certainly you can, but not here and not now." He laughed and commented, "And you wondered why I didn't ask." I giggled. He did have a point, but I needed to inform him of our customs. "Ben, this is not something which can be done in public." Ben complained, "Okay, but when the hell are we going to have some privacy?" I answered, "That we do not know. Certainly in your condition, you are in no shape to." He interrupted, "Oh, I'm not? Well, you should check under my gown." I checked and was shocked because it was functional. I jumped out of bed and excitedly declared, "Ben, I must report this to your doctor immediately." He whined, "Typical woman. Get a man all worked up and then leave him to his own devices." I replied as I began to leave the room, "Ben, you cannot perform those activities until after the doctor clears you." Ben interrupted, "Yeah, I know, but I sure as hell hope some other nurse doesn't take advantage of my condition while you're gone." I stopped and scolded, "If you let anyone else." He laughed, "Tatiana, I was teasing, now get back into my bed with me." I debated what to do and decided that the doctor would want more proof than just my word. So I locked the door and climbed back into bed. Flashback, Jens. My search on the Russian female dog turned up some interesting results. She seemed to be in many places where unusual things occurred. Things like the Beslan slaughter. I thought about this and wondered what sort of woman would be at all those places, but I didn't really have an answer. She was a nurse, and that might explain it, but it still didn't seem to be the best explanation. It was time to see if I could get into the FSB database and get more information on her. One of the biggest problems was the Russian language, so I also decided it was time for me to learn Russian. I walked downstairs and found Daddy asleep in his favorite chair in front of the TV. Who the heck cared about where Mom was? Probably at one of her many meetings with friends. I sat on the couch and cleared my throat. Daddy woke up, blinked, and asked, "How long have I been asleep?" I humored him and lied, "I don't think very long." But I was wondering, Daddy, I think I would like to learn Russian. He blinked a few more times and continued, "Now why would you want to learn Russian?" I lied a little. Well, I was trying to figure out what went on at Beslan, and I didn't like the translations of the news reporters. I think there was some information that was not translated. Daddy questioned, "Well, do you want to go to a school for this, or do you think you can learn it on the computer?" I answered, "I would like to try it on the computer first, but if I have problems then I would like to take it at a school. This way I can confirm whether I like Russian, and it won't cost as much." Daddy smiled and agreed. "Okay, Jennifer, you can use your charge card to order a program. Just make sure it doesn't cost more than $100. I jumped off the couch, ran over, gave Daddy a big kiss on the cheek, and yelled as I ran upstairs, "Thanks, Daddy. You're the best." Now I had to research the best program I could find for less than $100. Flashback, Glenn. Well, that was certainly a strange conversation with my daughter, but then there were many times I talked to her that I felt things were strange. I questioned her motives for wanting to learn Russian, and wondered if they still had something to do with the experience she had with, at the time, Lance Corporal Blaine. Damn him anyway. I had hoped the mess he caused in Russia would be reason enough to send him packing and to never see him again. But he seemed to have more lives than a cat, and was equally agile at landing on his feet. There were still his injuries. If he didn't recover, then we could give him a medical discharge. Flashback, Major M, trip to the SGTS. Vika and I were halfway through the bottle of vodka, and things were going swimmingly. She looked at her watch and stated, "We must leave now, or we will miss our flight." I questioned, "What about the vodka?" She grabbed the bottle, took a big slug, handed it to me, and ordered, "Now you finish it." I did my best, but it was more than I could slam down at once. Vika grabbed my hand, and we ran, more like staggered, toward the departure gate. We made the flight just in time, found our seats, but there was someone already in them. Vika raised hell with them, so they left, and we sat down. Vika tossed a blanket over us, moved the armrest out of the way, and pressed against my arm. I laughed and commented, "Now this is traveling first class." Vika understood my joke, laughed, pressed more tightly against me, and then things got really interesting. Flashback, Ira, Mira, and Safia, in Israel. The perverts bid like crazy on Mira and Safia, however I oculated that Safia appeared to be in distress. It was not propitious for our plans if she failed to identify the men that purchased her sister. Finally, one man audaciously announced, "I have her older sister, and I will pay anything for the younger one." Still the bidding continued until the man who made the announcement paid a huge sum for my sister and Safia. One man unwisely announced he possessed Safia's sister. Safia looked at him and trembled, so I confirmed it was the culprit. He finally outbid everyone, and I watched as Ira collected the large sum of money, but then something unthinkable happened. Present, Jack, in the tunnels. I thought it was terrible being called a worthless captain, but being called a general is an even bigger insult. I figured out a long time ago, when I was in the Corps, that when applied to officers' rank and intelligence are inversely proportional. The higher the rank, the lower the intelligence. The only benefit of rank is authority to be a bigger pain in the butt. I get to the gun vault door, operate it as Jens instructed me, put my hand on the hand scanner, and it opens right up. I step inside and marvel at the sight. Yeah, Ben now has a hell of a weapons locker. I know he didn't have all of these in the old cabin, because I had been there before. I wonder how, and if Jens was able to clear out the weapons caches he had squirreled away around the country. Someone, perhaps Jens, had done a great job organizing it. On the immediate sides of the door were bug-out bags and weapons to go with them. Then on the left wall are the large caliber weapons, and what a collection there was. I saw several 20mm rifles, which didn't surprise me. But damn, that's a semi-auto belt-fed 14.5mm KPV anti-personnel weapon normally mounted on the ZPU series of anti-aircraft guns. Where the hell did he get one of those? It must have been from one of his Russian friends. It continues from there to Russian 50 caliber, 12.7 by 108, an American 50 caliber, 12.7 by 99, then what looks to be Barrett .416 caliber, 10.6 by 83, a Chaitak .408 caliber, 10.4 by 77, and several .338 Lapua Magnum, 8.6 by 70, rifles. These are all fine, but much heavier than I really want. Suddenly on the back wall I spot what I deem to be the perfect battle rifle. As I walk toward it, I hear from behind me, "Mr. Blaine has an impressive weapons collection." I turn and see Ira in the doorway and remark, "Yes, he does, but I'm not really sure how many of these he legally owns and keeps in this country." She smiles and comments, "I know for a fact they are all legal. I notice you are choosing your favorite weapon." I lovingly take the rifle off the wall and answer, "Yes, and this one just happens to be a real M25. The M25 is similar to the M21, sniper version of the M14, in many regards, not the civilian version called White Feather." She smiles and states, "Yes, Carlos Hathcock, aka White Feather, was the father of modern snipers for America." I ask her, "Are you going to select a more powerful rifle?" Ira responds, "While I am tempted to test many of the weapons, I will instead begin to carry my usual weapon, which is stored in my domicile." I remember back to the spy school and confirm, PSG-1. Too bad it's not as accurate as my M25. Her eyes gleam as she challenges, "I would treasure the chance to make you consume your verbiage." I reply, "You're on, little lady. But don't sell me and this old rifle short. We might make you consume your verbiage." Ira requests, "Perhaps now that you have acquired a suitable weapon, will you accompany me upstairs to relocate our equipment into these tunnels?" I lock and load, check the safety, and suggest, "Let's grab Bernie to give us a hand. Do you know where he is?" Ira grins as she answers, "Bernie and Ms. Morgan are training each other in one of the sleeping domiciles." It takes me a moment to remember that training to the twins means sex, so I answer, "Okay, it looks like it's you and me." We lock the vault, head to the door where I check the monitors. I don't see anyone or anything in the house, so we exit the main tunnel and head toward the twins' room. Present, Todd, hunting. When I told Jennifer I was going hunting, it was not a joke. I could feel it. Something was out there watching us, and I was sure that something was not friendly. When I saw the control collar on the bear, it reminded me of experiments the Pentagon had done in the past on animal behavior control. The experiments were mostly abandoned because the animals killed everyone, including the handlers. Jennifer and the rest of the team were lucky they so quickly and thoroughly destroyed the bear, otherwise it would have killed them. But the something that I was sensing felt different. This was something that I preferred to hunt from the shadows and avoid direct conflict. I watched as Jack took everyone into the cabin, a very wise move. Now it was just me and the animal, whatever it was. I decided to take up station in a big Douglas fir and wait for it to come to me. I no sooner get set in the tree when all hell breaks loose. Present, Jens, heading to the hospital with Mira. I continue to work on Mira because it appears the narcotic I gave her isn't stopping her contractions. I tell the pilot, please contact Myra's fertility clinic and have them meet us at the hospital. The pilot questions, which one? Mira calmly gives him the name, phone number, and even the name of her doctor there. Alexei is holding Myra's hand and continues to apologize. My sister, I am so sorry for precipitating this problem. Mira shushes him. Alexei, this is only a minor setback. I think minor my butt. She's losing the baby. Present, Mira, heading to the hospital. It's evident to me that I will lose my Ben's progeny. The terbutaline has done nothing to abate the contractions, so it's just a time of matter until misdelivery occurs. The number of weeks is not sufficient for this baby to survive, so I decide I must do everything I can to comfort Alexei. Yes, while I experience much grief, I have a brother that must be comforted and trained so this never occurs again. Present, Ben, Austin, Texas. Shit. After I woke up with Margarita giving me a BJ, I couldn't get back to sleep. I was angry at myself for sleeping so soundly she could do that to me, and even angrier that I had to explain why the hell I didn't want to go to bed with her. I was sure that she wasn't going to take this no for an answer and would do everything she could to coerce me into her bed and her. Russian women love a challenge, and this was going to be a welcome challenge to her. I decided since I couldn't get back to sleep, I might as well hit the streets again because taking out the trash seemed to be the only thing that made me happy lately. I checked my tactical vest, grabbed my weapons, and headed out the door. I catch a taxi to a bad, if there is anything worse than where Margarita's apartment was, part of the city. The driver stops and questions, are you sure you want to get out here? I answer, yeah, this will do. It doesn't take long until I hear screams of pain. I run toward the screams, turn the corner, and I can't believe what I see. I suddenly realize that for once I don't have the right weapons for this assignment. Unfortunately, they see me, and one of them yells, fresh meat. They take off after me, and I begin to backpedal. Present, Stacy, at the vet's. I'm having a great time beating the shit out of the gun that Samantha's horse-shooting husband used to shoot Bo. Wojciech is watching me when the gun blows up, knocks me on my butt, and Wojciech yowls and runs back into the barn. Samantha runs up and demands, Stacy, what happened? I laugh as I answer, well, the horse-shooting gun your husband gave me just blew up. She asks, what? How did you find out? I stand up and complain, well, your brilliant horse-shooting husband told me. She apologizes, Stacy, I'm so sorry. I wave my hand and vent my anger. You and all other reporters are the same. You couldn't tell the truth if your lives depended on it. Samantha complains, Frank is going to be furious about this. He loved that gun. I laugh. Well, you can tell him to shove that gun up his. The horse-shooting husband rolls up in his wheelchair and interrupts, perhaps you'd like to tell me yourself. I grin and say, you can take what's left of that damn gun and put it where the sun doesn't shine. He complains, what the hell did you do to it? I laugh and taunt him. I beat the shit out of it with a hammer, and then it blew up. He rolls towards me and threatens, I should beat the hell out of you for. He's interrupted when the vet arrives with a rifle and says, no one's going to be beating the hell out of anyone. Now what the hell is going on? I heard a gunshot. I tell the vet the whole story. He shakes his head and states, you're lucky that gun didn't hurt you or anyone else. Now where's this bear you were telling me about? I call, Wojciech, come here, boy. He doesn't come, so I suggest, well, he's in the barn and must be scared. We head into the barn, and I can't believe my eyes. Present, Byron and Tom, rescuing a. I come up with a relatively good idea. Tom and I dress like a couple of the drunks we've seen on the streets, take the dinghy, and head to the docks. We reach the docks, tie up the dinghy, and pretend to stumble along the streets toward the narcotic dealer's lair. I'm shocked because Byron's plan is actually working. Places that tried to shoot the hell out of us before let us pass with no problems. We're almost to the compound when I see something I sure as hell don't like. Present, Maria, Linus, Matt, and Jim at a restaurant. I successfully get some great intel on Ben, then head back to Linus and the crew. On arrival, I say, Linus, it looks like Ben might have headed either to Dallas or Austin. The state patrol couldn't be sure. Linus looks at the guys and offers, I think we need to run this past Jennifer and see if they can shed any light on which one he might have chosen. Linus pulls out his mobile phone, calls my princess boss's phone, but doesn't get an answer. I suggest, try calling the cabin. He calls the cabin, but doesn't get a response there either. Now this is strange. I look at Linus and state, honey, I hate to say this, but something is going on and I need to get my butt back to the cabin. I look at Matt and Jim and order, you two need to make sure that my Linus is safe, otherwise. They practically fall all over themselves and promise, yes ma'am, we will make sure he's safe. I give Linus a hell of a kiss, head over to one of the troopers and ask, can I catch a ride with you to the closest town? He answers, sure thing, Missy. I'm almost done here and would be happy to have the company. I wave goodbye to Linus and wonder what the hell is going on with my princess boss in the cabin. Maria is a hell of a woman, gets great intel on Ben from the troopers, and then even hits them up for a ride. While I like the hell out of having her with me, she has Matt and Jim so riled up they aren't much good, and I'm glad she's leaving. Plus my damn lips and face are sore. She kissed and bit the hell out of me. What the hell is it about women liking to bite men? If I tried to bite her the way she bit me, she'd kick my butt. I look at Matt and Jim and question, well, we can't wait around here. So which way do you think Ben would go? Dallas or Austin? Matt says, well, Dallas is bigger and less liberal, so that makes the most sense. Jim concurs. Yeah, I don't see Ben and Austin getting along at all. We jump into the car, and I head toward Dallas. Flashback, Masha, searching for Jack, again. Keeping track of my Jack was practically a full-time job. I left him alone for such a short time, and now he was missing again. I decided to find Tatiana to assist me, but the door to Ben's room was strangely locked. I utilized a stethoscope, placed it against the door, and swore I heard the sound of a couple deep in the throes of coitus. Surely Ben and Tatiana couldn't be. I thought his back was. I heard a long moan of a satisfied woman, blushed, removed the stethoscope as my listening device, and decided I would have to locate Jack myself because Tatiana was certainly otherwise occupied. I proceeded to the cafeteria, but fortunately Jack wasn't to be found there, because now he wasn't going to be ill from the coffee. I stood, tapped my foot, and, oh Hades no. I wager he found those doctors, again. I retraced my steps to the doctor's lounge. While in transit, I decided if Jack was drunk again, I would seriously kick his rear. Flashback, Jack, hair of the dog. I wasn't really sure where the doctor's lounge was, but I had a general idea. Hey, give me a break, I'm nursing an atomic hangover. When I got to what I thought was the right door, I opened it. And what the hell? This wasn't the right doctor's lounge. It was a different office. And this one? Well, there's a huge orgy with lots of partially clad eye candy and booze. I was tempted to go in and just get a drink, but then I remembered my Masha and started to leave. Suddenly, one of the topless wenches grabbed my arm and hauled me inside. I knew I shouldn't, but... Flashback, Tatiana, post-coitus. I never dreamed that I would have sex so soon with Ben. And not only was it sex, it was great sex for someone that shouldn't have any feeling below his waist. I, of course, had to do almost all the work, but he did move in a manner that made the result marvelous. We laid beside each other afterwards in our post-coital bliss. Ben's hand was roaming across my body when I heard someone knock on the door. I kissed Ben and declared, I must dress, then inform your doctor of the good news. Ben teased, the news that we screwed each other's brains out. I punched his arm and responded, no, my silly lover. The news that you have feeling below the level of your back injury. I quickly adjusted my clothes, opened the door, and Ben's primary nurse scolded, what were you two doing? I replied, we were screwing each other's brains out. She scoffed, you're right. Do not lock this door again. I turned, and as I left and saw a big smile on my Ben's face from what I had told the nurse. Now to find Dr. Kiorov and deliver the good news. Flashback, Masha, searching for Jack, again. I pushed the door to the doctor's lounge open, walked inside, and was shocked. There were no doctors and no Jack. Now where in Hades was he? Flashback, Tatiana, reporting to Dr. Kiorov. I stopped in front of a mirror and readjusted my uniform. Ben certainly made a mess out of things, but it was worth it. I determined I was missing some clothing article and wondered if he kept it. Then I continued toward the doctor's lounge that Dr. Kiorov had appropriated. Yes, he had taken a whole doctor's lounge for himself, and rumor was rampant that he started a huge orgy. As I walked toward the lounge, I worried and wondered if Ben was that sort of man. I mean, I really didn't know anything about him, and I had heard rumors that American men were sex fiends, and, well, we had just had sex. I arrived at Dr. Kiorov's personal lounge and heard the pounding beat of the music through the door. I slowly opened the door, peeked inside, and was shocked. There was Masha's Jack who was, well, he was getting a lap dance from an almost naked nurse and drinking something. I seriously needed to rectify the situation. If Masha caught Jack in such a compromising position, she would probably castrate him. I ran into the room, and Jack immediately saw me. He jumped up from the chair, dumped the half-naked 304 on the floor, shook his head sadly, and moaned, Tatiana, I don't know how. I interrupted, Jack, if Masha had caught you, she would have transformed you from a rooster into a hen. We must leave now. I grabbed Jack's hand, and we headed toward the door when Dr. Kiorov intercepted us and yelled, it appears that we have some fresh meat. Remove your clothes, bitch. I slapped him and yelled back, I am already spoken for. I was here to inform you that your patient, Sergeant Blaine, has some sensation below the site of his back injury. If you were a real doctor, you would want to examine him. He laughed and replied in English, he's lucky to have me as his doctor. I will be there when I damn well feel like it. Then Jack did the most amazing thing. Flashback. Jens. I began to look for Russian programs on the internet and made a great discovery. There were many free sites that I could use to learn Russian. The only problem was I had already talked to Daddy and he had agreed I could charge up to $100 for my education. So what the heck was I going to do? Then I came up with a great idea. I searched and found the right site and spent the $100. I leaned back in my chair and smiled. Now I needed to hide what I really did from Daddy. Flashback. Ben. In the hospital. The nurse complained. To whom do those panties in your bed belong? I laughed and answered, Tatiana. Like she told you. We screwed each other's brains out. The nurse clucked. How could that be? You have limited mobility because of a spinal cord injury. I decided to have some fun, so I teased. Have you ever heard of oral sex? She tasted so sweet. The nurse interrupted. I interrupted. Give me back those panties and you should try it sometime. As I heard her leave the room, she imperially declared, all Americans are sex fiends. I laughed until I heard someone else walk into my room. I questioned, who's there? The answer shocked me. Flashback. Major M. Trip to the SGTS. I must have been tired. Even with all the attention from Vika, I fell asleep. Thank God there was a blanket over us, because my hand was in her bare crotch and somehow she had me more than half undressed and her hand was wrapped around my ears then started to pop, so I knew we were landing. While I began to put my uniform back on, Vika woke up, smiled and asked, how are you? I apologized, sorry for falling asleep, but I guess I was tired. She laughed, but didn't take my hand out from between her legs. You were no more tired than I was. An announcement came over the speaker and Vika translated. The plane is landing in 15 minutes, so we will need to finish this later tonight. Then she gave me an impish smile and questioned, do you need any assistance with your uniform? I had already done a good job of getting things back in order, so I began to look for my travel book, but couldn't find it, so I answered, no. The uniform is all right, but I can't seem to find my travel book. She began to search, then held it up and said, is this your travel diary? I took it from her and stated, yes, thanks for finding it. But how did you end up with it? She smiled and replied, it was in my way and you handed it to me. I didn't remember doing that, so I looked closely at it, realized it had been opened, and that set me a bit on edge. The plane landed, and we were afforded the courtesy of leaving first. As we reached the bottom of the stairs, a nice car was waiting for us. The driver opened the door, we climbed in, and he proceeded to the hospital. Then I remembered something. Flashback. Ira, Mira, and Safia, in Israel. The worst possible event happened to our plan. The evil pervert that possessed Safia's sister succeeded in purchasing Safia and Mira, but then he immediately stated, I do not want this older 304. What is she worth to you? Yes, my sister Mira was being sold. Male offspring of a female Saluki. This terrible man was selling me to the highest bidder. This was not how my plan was to transpire. As my sister Ira and I exchanged glances, I immediately knew what we must do. We prepared for action. Present. Ira. Weapons retrieval. General Payne, Jack, has acquired a more appropriate rifle and accompanies me to retrieve all of the equipment in our domicile. As we exit the tunnel, he questions, do you think we need to lock the door? I respond, most certainly. Your assumption that the security system has been compromised is probably accurate. Henceforth, we cannot be certain the facility has not been compromised. He stops and locks the door. I quickly draw my katana and General Payne questions, Ira, is something wrong? I reply, my olfactory units detect a disturbing odor. He answers, I locked down the house and I don't smell anything. I ordered, less than ever, please prepare for the forthcoming onslaught. Present. Jack. Weapons retrieval. Something has Ira spooked, and she's good enough that if she's spooked, then it's important. But what the hell could have broken into the house? I had it locked down, and nothing is supposed to be able to get in. I make sure my rifle is ready, and we slowly head toward the twins' room, when, get the hell out of me. I don't just see them, I smell them, and now I wish I had my mouse gun again. There are so damn many of them, and they are swarming right after us. Present. Todd. Hunting. I had just assumed my position in the tree when all hell breaks loose. The fox and Sharik come running past the base of my tree like their butts are on fire and close behind them. I cannot believe it. It's a puma with a damn control collar on it. I draw my bow, fire, and son of a bitch. I only wound the damn puma. I am pissed at myself for not getting a clean kill. It does make him change direction, and he's now headed away from the fox and Sharik. But nothing is worse than a wounded animal, except possibly a wounded animal that's been modified to be a killer. I work my way out of the tree, hit the ground, and I'm surprised when I see the fox and Sharik waiting for me. They both move off in the same direction, and I decide they want me to follow them. It's puzzling to me because we aren't headed after the puma. As we work our way around to the side of the cabin, I cannot believe what I see. This is a great stroke of luck for me. I knock another arrow, prepare a second arrow, and present. Yints, at the hospital with Mira. The helicopter sets down at the hospital, and a team rushes right out with a gurney. When they load Mira on the gurney, I take Alexi's hand and say, "Come on, your sister needs all the support she can get." We follow the gurney into the hospital. Alexi answers, "Ms. Donaldson, how can I forgive myself for causing this accident?" I gently smile at him and reply, "Alexi, your sister doesn't blame you, so you need to stop blaming yourself. There was a good chance that if you hadn't stopped that bear, he might have killed all of us. Part of becoming an adult is learning that you will make mistakes, and then learning how to live with and benefit from those mistakes." Alexi questions, "Ms. Donaldson, I cannot believe you have ever made a mistake. I do know my sisters have the utmost respect for you." I laugh and confess, "Alexi, I make mistakes all the time. One of the biggest mistakes was how I treated you and your sisters. But the biggest of all was how I treated my love, Ben. I didn't know at the time, but he had been conditioned to avoid being trapped, and my love for him made him feel trapped, so that's what made him run away." Alexi seems to be processing the information I gave him. Then he states, "I wish there was an easier way to learn than making mistakes." I question more closely, "Well, Alexi, have you received any training on the use of the 40mm grenade launcher?" He answers, "No, I have not." I reply, "That's what I thought. You need to learn that before you use any weapon you have to receive the proper training for it." He laments, "This is the most costly mistake I have ever made, Ms. Donaldson. I might still be a boy, but I can perceive my sister will lose her fetus." I again attempt to comfort him. "Well, Mira is young, and she will have many more chances to have a baby. But you are the only brother she will ever have. So you need to cheer up and put on a brave face for your sister." Present, Mira, at the hospital. The contractions have grown stronger. It has become a very sad day since it is most certain I will miscarry Ben's progeny. But I realize I am young, and there is still a sufficient quantity of Ben's male procreation component at the clinic of fertility. My doctor from the clinic states, "Mira, we're sorry, but you are going to lose this baby. However, we would like a chance to examine the fetus to make sure it was healthy." I cautiously reply, "You may perform an external examination of the fetus. However, our religion does not permit an autopsy without the utmost respect provided to the fetus. And when you are finished, I will require return of the fetus so that a priest might perform the rite of extreme unction prior to the burial." The doctor assures me, "Mira, we will take the greatest care with the body of your fetus. Our only concern is to do some genetic tests on the fetus." Ms. Donaldson and Alexi walk into the room. I am thankful they are spared the content of the previous conversation. Alexi approaches, gently takes my hand and apologizes, in Russian, "My sister Mira, I was foolish to fire the grenade before I received proper training. I will make sure this never occurs again." Unfortunately, at that particular moment, I initiated delivery of the fetus. Present, Yints, at the hospital with Mira. As Mira begins to deliver the baby, I take Alexi's hand and suggest, "We need to leave the room now." He kisses Mira on the cheek. We leave, and he requests, "Ms. Donaldson, I do not have any funds with me. Would it be possible for you to advance me some funds with which I might purchase some flowers for Mira?" I answer, "That's an excellent idea." We head to the hospital gift shop. Present, Mira, at the hospital. The doctor removes the fetus for genetic tests, and the delivery nurse proceeds to cleanse me. As she cleanses me up, she releases the most troubling tidbit of information to me. Something is not correct. No, it cannot be true. Present, Ben, Austin, Texas. Shit. I'd give my left nut right now for a shotgun loaded with X-Rep taser rounds. Yeah, I really need a non-lethal option right now and don't have one. You see, the screams I heard were from a man. A large group of women had surrounded him, somehow stripped him, and were shocking the hell out of him with cattle prods and tasers. Shit, they even fried the poor scumsuckers' nuts, and now they are after me. I bounce a couple warning shots at their feet and yell, "I'll shoot you if I have to." All that does is piss them off even more, so now they were running after me. I turn and run like my butt was on fire, because if they catch me it will actually be bright red from the cattle prods. Feet don't fail me now. Present, Stacy, at the vet's. I beat the shit out of the horse shooter's pistol until it blows up and knocks me on my butt. The scumsucker horse shooter was going to beat the hell out of me until the vet comes up with a rifle and calms everyone down. He wants to see Wojciech, so we go into the barn, and I can't believe it. Wojciech is lying on his side and bleeding from a head wound. The vet rushes over and demands, "Who the hell shot this bear?" The scumsucker horse shooter says, "You can thank Stacy for that. She was beating my gun with a hammer, and it exploded." I rush to Wojciech's side and plead, "Please tell me he will be okay." The vet laughs, then answers, "Hell yeah, it just grazed his head. Oh, he's going to have a hell of a headache when he wakes up. He'll have a nice little scar when it heals up, but he should be fine." I get a great idea and suggest, perhaps while he's unconscious we could give him a bath. The vet says, "Now that's a great idea. This has to be the nastiest smelling bear I've ever worked on. I'm surprised when Samantha offers, Stacy, I would like to help. I eagerly accept, the more the merrier. The vet says, there's a bucket over by the faucet and some soap there too. After you to finish, you can use the shower in the main house, and I have a washing machine for your clothes. The damn horse shooter complains, while you two have fun, I'm going back to sleep. I secretly wish we could accidentally shoot him or at least throw a bucket of water on him. Present, Byron and Tom, rescue Inga. Our drunk costumes work great. We're almost to the narcotic lord's compound when we round a corner and see. Well, the scumsuckers have captured Inga, have her tied up to the fence, and are having their way with her. I suggest, Tom, let's work our way closer and see what the hell they do. We stagger toward them, and when the damn troops see us, they begin to laugh and motion for us to take a turn with Inga. This works perfectly for us. When we get between Inga and the troops, we take our rifles out from under our coats and wipe out all the scumsuckers. Tom cuts Inga loose, picks her up, and we take off like our butts are on fire. Present, Maria, in the back of a state trooper's car. I'm having a great chat with the trooper until he blows right past the next city. I question, hey, I thought you were going to drop me off back there so I could get a ride. He laughs, then I get a terrible feeling when he says, it's amazing how many women foolishly trust a man in a trooper's uniform. Present, Linus, Matt, and Jim headed to Dallas. We couldn't get in touch with anyone at the cabin, so we decided that Ben would most likely head to Dallas. We're making great time. Then we round a corner and run into a roadblock. Jim cranks the wheel. We spin around. I lean out the window and begin to fire at the scumsuckers behind us. Matt yells, it looks like some of the scumsuckers are in front of us. I turn and see that we're boxed in and order, Jim, don't let the scumsuckers shoot the engine. He yelled, hold on to your butts. We're going for a trip. Now that was the understatement of the year. Flashback, Jack, hair of the dog. I was embarrassed as hell, and also very lucky. Tatiana found me in a very compromising position, and to be truthful, I'm not even sure how I ended up with that woman in my lap. Somehow it just seemed to happen. Thank God it was Tatiana and not my Masha who found me. We began to leave when Ben's doctor stopped us and insulted the hell out of Tatiana. When Tatiana told the doctor he should examine Ben immediately, he bragged, he's lucky to have me as his doctor. I will be there when I damn well feel like it. For me, that was the last straw. The scumsucker hadn't been in to see Ben since the surgery, and now I know why. He was having a private orgy. So I drew back my arm, decked the hell out of him, and demanded, Tatiana, please translate this for me. Listen, you poor excuse for a doctor. If my sniper doesn't start getting better care from you, I'm going on national television, and I will tell them everything about how you violated your responsibility and mistreated your patient. Tatiana translated. He stood up, glared at me, and sarcastically declared, as if the reporters would believe an ignorant American soldier. I smiled, held up my phone, and informed him, I have pictures and a recording to prove my claim, and if that's not enough motivation, then be certain that I will make it my job to make the rest of your very short life a miserable hellhole. Tatiana translated while I studied his face. I saw that I had won. We turned to leave, and oh hell no. Flashback, Masha, searching for Jack, again. Well, I found my Jack in what was one of the worst dens of iniquity I have ever seen. It was a different doctor's lounge which Dr. Kiorov had corrupted. Thank God he was with Tatiana. If he was in here by himself, I would have. Well, I'm not sure what I would have done to Jack, but I am positive he would not enjoy it. I overheard the conversation between Dr. Kiorov and Tatiana. Then I watched in amazement as Jack floored him with one punch and then used Tatiana to deliver a threat to the doctor. They turned, saw me, and I thought Jack was going to pass out. Most strange. I walked up, kissed Jack on the cheek, and said, give me a minute with Dr. Kiorov. I walked up to the doctor and calmly supplemented the threat. And if my boyfriend Jack doesn't make your life a miserable hellhole, then I will ensure your wife is provided the details of your orgy along with photographic evidence. Remember your wife? The one who is now approaching to investigate rumors of this orgy. I studied his face and detected fear in his eyes, so I added, tell me, doctor, does she still own all the cars, the dacha, and the flat you live in? He looked down with shame, and I suggested, you might want to clothe yourself properly and clean up this mess before she arrives. Flashback, Jack, hair of the dog. Thank God Masha had no idea what had happened to me. While she was giving the damn doctor hell, I looked at Tatiana and pleaded, Tatiana, please don't tell Masha. I'm not sure how all this happened, but I'm positive I don't want Masha to know about it. Tatiana promised, Jack, I will not tell her unless I ever find you in a situation like that again. You are a mature enough man to avoid situations like that. Masha's finished telling off the doctor, walked up, said something to Tatiana in Russian, and Tatiana blushed like crazy. Masha took my arm and I asked, what did you say to Tatiana? She squeezed my arm and laughed. Jack, there are some things that stay between women, and this is one of those things. Now I hear that Ben has shown some good signs of recovery. Should we see what they are? Flashback. Ben, in the hospital. Someone walked into my room, so I questioned, who's there? The reply shocked me. We have flowers for Sergeant Blaine. Where would you like them? Now this was nice. Someone sent me some flowers. I replied, I can't see them, so put them anywhere. I heard them set the vase down, but they turned and left before I had a chance to ask who sent them. Oh well, flowers from anyone were a nice thought. Flashback. Tatiana, in the hospital. I wanted to hurry back to Ben's room and find my missing undergarment before someone else discovered it. I was so flustered when we were interrupted by the knock on the door, I had forgotten them, and well, it was uncomfortably breezy under my dress without them. What was worse was somehow Masha knew that Ben and I had made love. When she questioned me as to how he was, I was so shocked I crimsoned. We walked into Ben's room, and I noticed a huge bouquet of roses. Jack remarked, Damn Ben, who sent you the flowers? There are more here than most people get for a funeral. Ben replied, Hell Jack, I don't know, and I forgot to ask the person who delivered them. I noticed a card, walked over, picked it up, read it, and I couldn't believe what it said. I cried and ran from the room. Flashback. Ben, in the hospital. Tatiana cried and ran out of my room, so I asked, What the hell happened? Masha stated, I am not sure, let me read the card. She picked it up and read, Get well soon and come home to my waiting arms. Signed, your secret lover. I complained, What the hell? I don't have a secret lover. Jack, you need to find Tatiana and tell her. Masha said, Ben, do not worry. We will both find her and tell her the truth. I complained, I'm going to find whoever pulled this damn practical joke and kick their butt. Jack and Masha left, and I decided I needed to do something about this myself. I began to mess with the damn bed. Flashback. Jens. I received notification that my flowers were delivered to Ben, and that made me happy. I was sure he would wonder who the heck was his secret lover and hoped it would help to take his mind off that Russian female dog nurse of his. Now I needed to find some way to keep her away from my Ben. Flashback. Major M. At the hospital. We were headed to the hospital where the injured Sergeant Blaine was being cared for, and I remembered something, so I asked Vika, we didn't talk about the hero of the Russian Federation medal. Can you tell me about it now? She turned to me and said, It's the highest award that can be given to a Russian. I asked for confirmation. So it's only given to Russians? She answered, Yes, Mike, it's only given to Russians. Why do you ask? I advised her of what I had been told. Well, my general told me that Sergeant Blaine is going to receive that award. Vika gasped. Well, that would be unheard of, but then President Putin does what he wants to do with little regard for tradition. We arrived at the hospital and headed inside, where Vika determined Sergeant Blaine's room number. We took the elevator, stepped out, and it looked like there was a damn circus going on in his room. We tried to walk into the room, but were stopped by some suits who talked to Vika. Once she explained to them who I was, we were allowed into the room. We walked into the room and Sergeant Blaine wasn't there, but shit, the old man wasn't going to be happy about who was here. Flashback. Mira, Ira, and Safia, in Israel. The evil man who purchased Safia's sister, and subsequently purchased Safia and me, was now attempting to sell me to the highest bidder. This we could not let happen. He walked up to me and began to disrobe me. I withdrew the hidden knife from my garments, maneuvered behind him, locked his arm in a bar, and applied firm pressure to his neck with the edge of my knife. This excited the crowd, which immediately changed from bidding for me to gambling on whether the evil man would live. I watched as his henchmen approached the stage without concern. My sister Mira performed admirably. Now it was my turn. The evil man's bodyguards approached the stage when I withdrew a rifle from under my robe and threatened them. They paused, but then were urged on by their employer. One miscreant reached into his dishdasha, robe that Arab men wear, to acquire a weapon, so a well-placed shot terminated his existence. The other hesitated and Mira ordered, We are taking this man with us. If anyone should try to interfere with our exit, they will also be terminated. We worked our way off the back of the stage to determine if we could persuade the evil man to disclose the location of Safia's sister. Present. Ira, battleground cabin. My katana blade had never bathed in more blood. How many of these infernal pests infest this house? General Payne, Jack, withdraws his pistol and uses it because he can acquire targets faster than with a rifle. I wonder how Ms. Donaldson will ever eliminate the chaos we are generating in this cabin. General Payne questions. Present. Jack, battleground cabin. I rhetorically question, where in the hell did all these damn rats come from? Ira doesn't understand that I really didn't expect any reply and answers. From their foul stench, I would say they emanate from the sewer. I think a moment and reply, wait. This cabin has a septic system, not a sewer. Present. Todd, hunting. The fox and Sharik lead me to an area beside the cabin where two men, who aren't supposed to be here, are doing something. I can't tell what evil it is they are doing or who the hell they are. But I do know what the hell is going to happen to them. I prepare 2 arrows, knock the first one, let it fly, and one of the men falls. I quickly knock the second arrow. The other man turns just in time for me to take out his eye. He drops a big bag, and the next thing I know there are rats running everywhere. The fox and shark take off while the rats notice me and head right at me. I decide discretion is the better part of valor, so running is best thing to do. I haul toward the cabin, get to the front door, enter my code, and open it just as Jack and Ira back out fighting a hell of a lot of rats that somehow got into the cabin. Then I realize what the scumsuckers were doing. They had half-starved rats, and they dumped them in the septic tank. What a brilliant idea. The time for my bow was over since there are too many rats and not enough arrows. I pull out my pistol and begin to join the fray. Present, Ira, battleground cabin. When we campaign our way to the front door, my tympanic units alert me the door is opening behind me. I slightly rotate and oculate Todd, who unfortunately is accompanied by more of these filthy vermin. Ratus. I abhor abominational ratus. Todd begins to fire his pistol. I slip a hand off my katana, draw my short blade, and hold it for him. Present, Todd, battleground cabin. Ira holds out her short sword, and I decide that's a better weapon than a pistol because it never needs reloading. I take it out of her hand, then decide to augment it. I grab an arrow in the other hand, and now I can slash with my right and stab with my left. Present, Jack, battleground cabin. Hell, I've ran out of ammo. If I wasn't so damn busy killing rats, I would try to remember if this ever happened to me before. I pull out my K-bar and begin to stab and slash the scumsuckers, but it sure as hell lets them get too damn close to me for my liking. I'm not sure what's wrong with these rats. They're crazy as hell, and they aren't interested in anything but us. Yeah, they aren't even eating the ones we kill. Ira and I step outside. I look over, and hell yes, now that's a hell of a field-expedient rat-killing weapon I can use. I grab the shovel off the porch that Jens uses to clean up Sherrick's shit and began to wail on the little mothers. I sure as hell hope none of them got into the tunnels. Present, Masha, in the tunnels. Something does not feel right, because Jack and Irina have been gone much too long. I leave the bedroom, walk over to the wall panel, bring up the security cameras, and I cannot believe it. Jack, Irina, and Todd are fighting a huge swarm of rats. The images remind me of depictions of locust swarms which overwhelmed Pharaoh during God's plagues on the Egyptian people who persecuted the Jewish people led by Moses. My first inclination is to rescue my Jack. Then I realize my son is in his bed sleeping and I must provide safety for him. I reach over, press the alarm, and actuate the klaxon. Now to rush back to my room and find my Ivan. If there are rats in the tunnels, they could. Present, Liz and Bernie, in the tunnels. The damn klaxon goes off, damn near scares us to death and ruins a great lovemaking session. I look at Bernie and say, I was told when this happens we are to meet in the main conference room. We begin to dress and head toward the main conference room. When we arrive, Mabel is there and demands, do you know what in the Sam Hill is going on? This might ruin the dessert I was making for tomorrow. Masha walks in carrying Ivan and explains. Present, Masha, in the tunnels. I walk into the conference room and thank God that everyone is here. I announce, I triggered the alarm. It would appear that rats have infiltrated the cabin. Currently my Jack, Irina, and Todd are in a fierce battle with them. We must determine if they have infiltrated the tunnels. Mabel exclaims, rats. I hate rats. But me and my big spoon will knock them silly if I see any. I activate the outside camera, and we view Jack, Irina, and Todd killing many rats. I instruct those present. While Mabel's idea of using field-expedient weapons is a great idea, a spoon does not have a sufficient killing range to keep the filthy rodents off your person. I would suggest we use the idea my husband came up with and locate as many shovels as we can. Liz questions, aren't you worried about Jack? Don't you think we should go and help them? I respond, of course I have great concern for my husband, and my greatest desire is to render aid to him. However, if we are isolated from the rat problem and we open the door, then we will allow the rats to infiltrate the tunnels. Our primary mission must be ascertaining there are no rats in the tunnel complex, and if any have infiltrated, they must be terminated. Present, Liz, in the tunnels. At first I thought this tunnel complex was a great idea. Now I wonder if it will be our death trap. We find the utility closet and find only one shovel, but there are a large number of brooms. Mabel announces, well, I'm using a broom, and if I can't kill the rats with this, then I will ride off on it. We all begin to laugh, and Masha comments, thank you, Mabel, for keeping a sense of humor. Now that we all have our field-expedient weapons, we need to ascertain if these tunnels are empty of the vile rodents. I would suggest that to take advantage of strength in numbers, we stay in one group and clear all of the rooms sequentially. I like that idea, and we head off to kill some damn rats. Present, Jens, at the hospital. I give Alexei $100, and he goes crazy in the gift boutique buying flowers for his sister Mira. As we get ready to head back, I think of something and ask, Alexei, let me have a couple of those small bouquets because I'm going to see how Zarika and Yasmin are doing. He smiles, hands me 3 bouquets and offers, tells Zarika this one is from me, and once I have completed tucking my sister in for the night, I will collocate with you. Yeah, this is the same hospital that Zarika is at, and I need to see how she's doing. I hope like hell Yasmin hasn't killed her, and sort of hope that Zarika might have killed Yasmin. Well, not really, but I can dream sometimes. I head off to find the girls. Present, Mira, at the hospital. My nurse delivers most troubling information, so I question, ma'am, please repeat what you stated earlier. The nurse looks at me and repeats, well, I was sorry to see you lose such a beautiful baby boy. I stutter, but, he should not have been Nubian. Are you certain? She replies, well, he wasn't that big yet, but I'd bet my life on it. Now don't you worry. I'm sure you can have many more babies since you're young and healthy. She leaves, but I can't understand how my baby could have such different features. I looked into Ben's family history, and there was no indication of such ancestry, just some Cherokee heritage. I assume she must have misspoken, and the baby was likely a different shade than expected. Alexei walks into the room, carrying more flowers than I thought one person could manage. He says, my sister Mira, I hope these flowers help ease some of the pain I have caused. When I begin to cry, Alexei runs to my side and questions, Mira, what is the problem? I smile, gather him to me, and reply, my brother. No one has given me flowers before. We have a good cry to go along with our embrace. Then he pulls away and requests, if it would not inconvenience you, I would like to join Lieutenant Donaldson in Zarika and Yasmin's room. I was most impressed with Zarika's display of courage during the battle. I smile and agree, my brother, that is an excellent idea. I am fatigued and will now require slumber. After he departs, I turn and attempt sleep. However, I still have great concern about the nurse's comment and the unusual color of my and Ben's progeny. Present, Jens, at the hospital. I find out which room the girls are sharing from the front desk and head up with the flowers. As I approach the door, I brace myself, open the door, and I'm totally floored. Instead of walking in on World War III, the two of them are sitting on the bed and Yasmin is brushing Zarika's hair. When I walk in with the flowers, the girls see me, giggle, and Yasmin. Yes, Yasmin. Questions, Ms. Donaldson, we are happy to see you. Are those flowers for us? It takes me a second to wrap my head around Yasmin talking like a real human, but then I answer, yes, Yasmin. I have a bouquet for each of you, and Alexei sent a bouquet for Zarika. Yasmin volunteers, I will place the flowers on the window. What's the damn word? Zarika helps, it's the window ledge, Yasmin. Yasmin giggles, oh yes, thank you for reminding me. Seeing Ms. Donaldson and the flowers made me slightly confused. Well, at least Yasmin hasn't totally changed, but still it's confusing as hell to me. I sit in the chair and wonder what sort of frickin' aliens have possessed the two girls. Zarika questions, Ms. Donaldson, you mentioned Alexei. Was he injured? So I explain about the battle with the grizzly bear and how Alexei killed it, but injured Mira and how she lost the baby. It shocks the hell out of me even more when both of the girls hold each other and actually cry. Someone pinch me and wake me from this dreamscape. Present, Alexei, at the hospital. It is good to see my sister Mira overjoyed about the flowers, and I make a mental note to bring some flowers home for my other sister Ira. I silently curse how they have been mistreated for so many years and swear that I will do everything in my power to make up for all they missed and to change the way they are treated now. I leave my sister to sleep, arrive at the front desk, and discover which room Zarika and Yasmin are sharing. As I walk toward their room, I hope I have not revealed too much to my sister Mira when I mention my admiration for Zarika, because it is slightly more than simple admiration. Yes, I harbor some feelings for her, but I am not sure how to act. I know she feels betrothed to Ben Blaine. However, I also know the fallacy of that belief. No one is going to marry Ben Blaine except my sister Mira. I arrive at the room, open the door, and am pleasantly surprised. Zarika rises from the bed, approaches me, and says, thank you, Alexei, for the flowers. Then she gives me such a sweet kiss on my cheek. This utterly surprises me and causes my knees to grow weak. I locate into a chair adjacent to Lieutenant Donaldson, who appears to be stunned. I question, Lieutenant Donaldson, do you feel ill? She looks at me, then looks back at Yasmin and Zarika. Zarika is brushing Yasmin's hair while they are talking and giggling like the best of friends. Lieutenant Donaldson motions with her head toward the girls and questions, what the hell has happened to them? I thought they hated each other. I smile at her, touch her hand, and attempt an explanation. Sometimes adversity has a strange way of bonding disparate personalities together. She annoys me by continuing with her inane questions. Alexei, you have a real gift for reading people. How did you develop this? And what do you suppose their common bond is? I remember my sister's admonitions, so I shrug my shoulders and construct an untruth. Lieutenant Donaldson, the gift to which you are referring is something I was born with, and I find that many times I am incorrect on my suppositions. Therefore, I hazard to speculate on the source of their bond. However, I realize they have come to some understanding concerning their roles toward Ben Blaine, an understanding which I will need to undermine if I am to ensure my sister Myra's success. Present, Mira, at the hospital. I turn fro and to about my bed while sleep evades me. The words of the nurse reverberate upon my tympanic membranes. Beautiful Nubian baby. Could something possibly be wrong with the male procreation components from my Ben? I briefly question if Irinka might have liberated the incorrect sample. Then I brush that thought from my mental recesses. Irinka would never allow such a mistake to occur. Suddenly, I sense something has happened to my sister Irinka. I must contact her immediately. I use my mobile phone, let it ring, but she does not answer. I call my nurse. She comes into the room and I declare, I need to depart this hospital haste of post. I perceive my twin sister has encountered some difficulties. She complains, but you cannot do that. You must stay here until the doctor releases you. I order, then I will leave without the consent of the medical professionals. She questions, you mean against medical advice? I reaffirm, yes, please bring me the forms haste of post, or I will be departed by the time you return. By the time I finish the application of my garments, she has not returned, so I leave to locate Alexei. However, first I retrieve one of the fine roses he gave me for sake of keep. Present, Ben, Austin, Texas. The mongrel horde of fat cow women are closing on me. I'm concerned that I will need to start killing them, which I don't want to do because I'm sure they are reacting to bad things that have happened to them. I see a building up ahead, and in front of it is a little furry dog that looks like some sort of Pekingese breed. He begins to bark, but not in a way that shows fear. She runs into the building, runs back out, and continues to bark. Shit, maybe this damn dog is telling me something. I follow the dog into the building. For a little dog, she's damn fast, because she's already headed up some sort of red ramp. Damn, something about this seems familiar. I figure in for a penny, in for a pound, so I follow him up the red ramp, and unfortunately the fat cows follow both of us. As we reach the first landing, there are iron stairs painted blue heading up to the next ramp. However, I can't believe what this little dog is doing. Now that's a great idea. Present, Stacy, at the vet's. Samantha and I work our butts off cleaning Wojciech. I can't believe how dirty and nasty the water in the bucket turns. However, the damn horse shooting scumsucker found out when I was carrying the last bucket, which wasn't nearly as bad as the first 4 buckets, over to empty in the sink and accidentally spilled it on him. He woke up and swore like a sailor. What the hell are you doing, you stupid gash? I giggle and sort of apologize. Sorry about that. It was an accident. He complains bitterly. Like hell that was. I don't care if you're a woman and are pregnant. I'm going to beat the shit out of you for doing that. He gets into his wheelchair, pulls out a couple of sticks, and rolls menacingly toward me. I wonder if I've made the second biggest mistake in my life. The first was screwing Guy. Samantha begins to yell at him, but he's full of rage and not listening to anyone. Then something amazing happens. Present, Tom and Byron rescue Inga. We're running like hell through what is almost a curtain of lead bullets, and I complain, damn Byron, your plan was good, but where the hell was your exit strategy? He yells back, hey, I told you I'd get you here, not how we get out. Yeah, he is right. We didn't count on having to rescue Inga this way. We thought we would catch her before. A round glances off the pavement, jumps up and bites me in the butt. I yell and order, Byron, I'm hit. Commandeer that car that's coming at us. He takes off like he has a rocket up his butt and aims his rifle at the car. As it stops, the driver wisely bails out and takes off running. Byron jumps in the vacated driver's seat, pushes open the back door. I dive in and Inga falls on top of me. She opens her eyes and says, thank you for saving me. I owe you a large personal debt. Byron already has the tires smoking on the car as I reply, sorry, I'd love to talk more, but I have scumsuckers to fire at. She questions, do you have an extra weapon for me? I order, Byron, give Inga your rifle. She takes his rifle. I have mine. We roll down the back windows and really give them hell. Present, Maria, in the back of a state trooper's car. Son of a bitch. I've been hoodwinked by some weirdo in a trooper's uniform. I kick the back doors and he laughs. There ain't no way in hell you're getting out of the back of this cruiser until I'm ready for you. And believe you me, I am going to take a good long time having my way with that sexy body of yours. I beat the screen that separates the back seat from the front. He just laughs some more and taunts. Keep it up, missy. I like a little fight in my women. I decide to screw this shit. I slide down in the seat, curl up in a ball, put both my feet against the back glass, and push like hell. Sure enough, the window explodes and covers me in small squares of glass. It scares the hell out of the scumsucker, so he swerves. loses control of the car, and the next thing I know I'm being tossed around the back of the car like a rag doll. No, make that a pissed-off rag doll. This scumsucker is going to pay. Present, Linus, Matt, and Jim headed to Dallas. Jim veers onto some small dirt road like we're driving a 4x4 and then punches it. We're bouncing all over hell, and I don't know how he's keeping things under control. I look behind us and see we've dropped the other cars, so I order, "You've lost them. You might want to slow down some." He begins to slow, then we hear a big bang from under the car, and Jim yells, "Son of a bitch." Flashback, Major M, at the hospital. After Vika assured the security detail who we were, they double-checked Vika's documents, made some phone calls. They triple-checked my new documents, made more phone calls, then we stepped inside, and, son of a bitch, the old man was going to be pissed as hell at me. There stood President Vladimir Putin, the main generals of the Russian military, and only one damn news team, probably from the current news corporation Putin had in his back pocket. And of course the large contingent of bodyguards. Yeah, there wasn't going to be the huge photo op the old man wanted. This was going to be controlled and released the way President Putin wanted. Yeah, he might not still be KGB, but he sure as hell knew what he was doing. But the biggest surprise was Sergeant Blaine wasn't here. Vika sidled up to me and whispered, "Major, where is your sergeant?" My first thought was, how in the hell am I supposed to know? But I decided to play it safe because I still had hopes of getting some action later. I was prepared to reply in a less stupid manner when a doctor breathlessly ran into the room. He fixed his hair, then walked over to Putin. They shook hands, and Vika informed me, "That's President Putin's private physician who was taking care of your sergeant. This should prove interesting." Vika started to translate the conversation when the next thing I knew the damn security guards' hands flashed up to their earpieces. Then the scumsuckers sprinted toward me, and the next damn thing I knew I was tossed to the floor, with about 900 pounds of bodyguard gorillas on top of me. Vika began to complain, and shortly after that she was on the floor beside me giving me a pissed as hell look that translated to, I wasn't going to be getting anything tonight, at least not from her. What the hell has gone wrong now? Flashback, Jens. I noticed someone had fixed Ben's Major's documents, but like amateurs they hadn't bothered to figure out how I hacked in and changed them in the first place. Oh well, go in through the same SQL backdoor. A few clicks here, a few changes there, and once again Ben's Major's new passport is revoked, and he's again on the terror watch list. I wonder. I head over to Interpol's website, poke around some, and discover they are using a SQL server for their database. After checking again, I verify once again that ID 10Ts, geek speak for idiot, prevail. They never changed the default administrator's password. I giggle. This should be fun. I spend a few minutes figuring out the construct and table relationships. Then I make a couple of changes in the Major's information. Then I get an even better idea. Flashback, Jack, at the hospital. I asked Masha, "Where do you think Tatiana would go?" She smiled at me and answered my question with a question. "Jack, you need to tell me the truth. Does Ben have a secret lover waiting for him at home?" I figured two could play this game, so I answered her question with a question. "Masha, why would you even ask that? Don't you believe me or Ben?" She frowned and explained, "Well, most Russian women have heard, and accept as true, the statement that American men are too preoccupied with sex." I laughed. "Masha, you know better than to believe all that you see or hear in the news. But I do understand there's more behind this question than your concern for Tatiana and Ben. You're wondering about me and us, aren't you?" Flashback, Masha, at the hospital. Jack was more astute than I assumed, and now I felt badly, and I hoped I hadn't insulted him. I needed to discern his feelings toward me because I knew what I felt, and if he didn't feel the same, then it would. Well, I didn't even want to consider it. I took a deep breath and answered, "Jack, I hope I didn't offend you, but I indeed would like to understand your feelings toward me and us." He smiled at me as I awaited his answer. Flashback, Ben, at the hospital. Damn son of a bitch. Tatiana was pissed about the damn flower prank. I bet it was the damn Major Pitta that did it. And I needed to find her. I figured out how to let the side rail of my bed down. But how the hell was I going to move since I couldn't walk? Well, just because my legs didn't work, it didn't mean I still wasn't a Marine. I needed to improvise, adapt, and overcome. I began to feel around for something that could support me, and damn, now this might just work. I determined how to lower it to the lowest setting, carefully crawled on top of my rolling bedside table, and found my hands just barely touched the floor. First, I needed to take care of those damn flowers, and that was easy. I headed toward the smell, found the flowers, and tossed them on the floor. It made a hell of a noise. Then I pushed toward where I remembered the doorway was. Damn, now this was great. I was mobile until son of a bitch that hurt. I needed to remember to not run into damn walls with my head. I missed the doorway, and the pain had me seeing stars, even though I couldn't see. I adjusted my direction until I found the door, and then turned to the right, the same direction all men start when they go grocery shopping. I had no idea where the hell I was going, but I was now making some damn good time. Flashback, Tatiana, at the hospital. I was heartbroken. I had wrongly assumed Ben was unattached, and then he got this incredible bouquet of roses from his secret lover. I had taken a chance and for once thought Ben might have been different than other men, especially Russian men. But an overhead page delivered me from my sadness. Ben was missing from his room, and the whole hospital was placed on alert to locate him immediately. Oh great. What sort of new silly thing did he decide to do? I immediately arose and flew up the stairs to help look for Ben. Flashback, Jack, at the hospital. I had wondered when Masha would breach the subject of our relationship because all we had really done so far was screw our brains out. Now with the chicken shit flower prank someone pulled on Ben, I wouldn't put it past the major. Masha was worried about my feelings toward her and wondered if I also had a secret lover at home. I didn't study much about Russia, but I had read several reports that described how American men were only interested in sex. It was probably because of those damn Russian dating sites on the internet that arranged trips for horny American men that were total losers to come over and screw younger women. The scumsuckers got their jollies and hurt the hell out of the women. Yeah, it was the typical love them and leave them. Hell, I'd been to the American embassy and seen the women crying, some even pregnant, because the scumsucker that screwed them and screwed up their lives didn't have the proper paperwork or finances to get them fiancé visas. I had already made up my mind with Masha, so this was easy. I smiled at her, took her hand, and proposed, Masha, you're the best damn woman in the world, and I know it's going to be work, but if you would have me, I would like to be your husband. Flashback, Masha, at the hospital. Did he just? I couldn't believe it. He asked me to marry him. My knees became weak, and Jack caught me as I fell toward the floor. Flashback, Jack, at the hospital. Damn, Masha fainted. That wasn't quite the response I expected from her. Thank God I caught her so she didn't get hurt. I moved us over to some chairs along the wall. Barely got us seated when what the hell is that? Ben. I couldn't believe Ben somehow got on top of his damn bedside rolling table and was making a hell of a quick time down the hallway paddling with his hands. It looked funny as hell, and I had to bite my lips to keep from laughing. I yelled, Ben, what the hell do you think you're doing? He spun the damn table toward me like he was an expert, laughed, and said, I'm looking for Tatiana. Does Masha know where she is? I laughed and explained, I will ask her again when she wakes up. Ben questioned, what the hell did you do to her now? I was too happy to be offended, so I declared, I proposed. He scooted the damn table right up to me, held out his hand. We shook, and he said, Jack, that's the best damn news I've ever heard. I only hope I can be your best man. I replied, I wouldn't have it any other way. He complained, well, I'm not going to be your best man if I can't walk. I argued, like hell, you can still be my best man if I have to carry you up to the altar. He challenged, well, I will kick your butt over this later. I need to find Tatiana. I questioned, how are you going to do that? You don't know where the hell you're going? He grinned and replied, her perfume smells different from the other women. Besides, I might not know where the hell I'm going, but I'm making damn good time getting there. With that statement, he spun the damn table, and I had to agree. He was making damn good time. I looked at Masha, and my heart felt peace for possibly the first time. I gave her a little kiss, and she began to stir. Flashback, Ben, at the hospital. That was the best news I'd heard. Well, possibly ever. Masha was a hell of a woman, and I knew she would do whatever she could to make Jack happy. Yeah, he was one lucky as hell man. Now I needed to find Tatiana. No, I wasn't going to propose to her. Hell, I was too young to get married. I was flying down the hallway. The bedside table had a nice squeak, and I discovered if I listened carefully, it was just like using the sonar on the submarine, so I could tell where the walls were. This was almost as much fun as my Frankentruck. Damn, now that girl I would have married. I missed the hell out of her when I heard. Flashback, Tatiana, at the hospital. I arrived at the top of the stairs, and I couldn't believe my eyes. That crazy Ben was going to kill me. Somehow he had crawled on top of his bedside table. He used his hands to propel himself and traveled at a tremendous rate right toward the stairs. I yelled, Ben, stop, or you will go down the stairs. Then I sprinted up and stopped the bedside table and scolded, what in the hell do you think you are doing? He laughed, I am looking for you, of course. Listen, I don't have a secret lover, and I sure as hell don't know who sent me the flowers, but I took care of those damn flowers. Now listen, you're my girlfriend, and we need to talk about things instead of you running off on me, because in my condition, it's too damn hard to find you. A bunch of orderlies ran up, and one of them declared, excellent. You found him. President Putin is waiting for him in his room. I was nervous as a cat in a rocking chair store. What did the president want with Ben? We couldn't locate a gurney, so we carefully transferred him to a wheelchair. This was made more difficult than we anticipated because we had to be careful of his back and spinal injuries. Then we escorted him toward his room. Ben motioned me close to him as he reached into his pocket and slipped something into my hand. I looked at what he handed me and blushed profusely. Men. Flashback, Mira, Ira, and Safia, in Israel. Ira stopped the henchman. However, a new problem occurred. Safia appeared to suffer catatonia. I instructed, Ira, bring Safia with you. As we departed the stage, the evil man foolishly offered fiscal gain for any person to render him aid. I knew I needed to prohibit this action again, so I placed him in the hold of sleeper until he was rendered unconscious. This produced a huge ovation from the crowd and precipitated even more wagers. I was thankful they now seemed more interested in the fall of his power than in rendering aid. Then I contemplated a new, devious plan. I reached inside his mandress, acquired his currency pouch, removed all the currency, and threw it above the horde with the expected result. They swarmed over the currency like flies on equine excrement. The unfortunate problem was that his girth was gigantic, so I was forced to drag him by his follicle units, some of which separated from his cranial carapace. It was of no concern to me. His fate, once he informed us of Safia's sister's location, was inconsequential since he would not survive long enough to show concern regarding his newly found tonsorial problems. Mira had her hands overburdened with the enormous evil man, particularly since she rendered him unconscious to prevent further useless fiscal offers to obtain assistance. She did create the distractive, fantastic fiscal ploy to which I added the currency I had already obtained from him. However, Safia was a continuing problem. When I reached her and took her hand, she meekly followed me from the stage. Marika's plan was excellent. However, we did not provide for proper exfiltration, which was compounded by the gigantic girth, which was a factor unknown at the onset of this mission, of our captive. We required a means of transport for our little band. Mira had full hands. I also had hands of fullness, so it was going to fall on Safia's articulatio humeri. I drew back my hand, applied a resounding slap to the side of her cranial carapace, and ordered, Safia, make haste of post, and acquire a means of transportation for us if you want to rescue your sister. Safia jumped with shock, looked around, and I repeated, we must obtain transportation haste of post, or your sister is lost forever. Safia promised, do not fear, I will find us transportation. She departed on her quest while I continued to provide a protective weapon umbrella for this dire situation. The fiduciary funds were almost depleted, and the horde might once again become an issue. Then Safia arrived with transportation, but not the sort of transportation I hoped for. Dear listeners, please share your thoughts in the comments section below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.